Well, I'm for it because, okay, without urbanization, we'd all be either just hunters and gatherers, sort of like the Indian tribes that used to just inhabit all of America, or we'd just be small subsistence farmers just trying to survive. Without urbanization, we wouldn't have any type of village or city to congregate in. The knowledge would be stagnant. We wouldn't have any of this amazing technology that we have right now. Without urbanization, we wouldn't have any of it. Although, I do see the problems with it, the overpopulation and the pollution that it causes, but I do feel that all in all, it just makes us better people.
I'm pretty much the same way. Urbanization facilitates our lifestyle. Without it, we'd be what's said.
Although it also does, the urbanization to the level that we're at does, I think, make us want more. What we do is want more, or the newest stuff, because, well, we can have it. Although I feel like that's a horrible mentality to have, and it just causes worse stuff down the line, but...
Well, it is. Wouldn't that be more of our society and not urbanization itself?
Yes, but urbanization has an influence on society itself.
I'm for urbanization because I feel like even though it is overpopulated, like stated from the last seminar, if we didn't have what we have now, we wouldn't have as many jobs, but people would still be striving to get more people to work on certain things in order to have what they need. So it would still be overpopulated. So if we're overpopulated now, but we still have the jobs for those people that are coming into the world to have, then I feel like it's better.
I agree with you. Like, we need urbanization, or we really wouldn't be anything. Like, people would still, there'd still be crime, there would still be like, but it would be worse. I feel people wouldn't be having the technology, so they wouldn't be as smart as they are now, and we wouldn't know what to do with ourselves. And it would be, I feel like there would be more crime because there wouldn't be like order, because everybody would just go off of what they feel like they should do. And urbanization makes it better and makes it controlled.
So we sort of have like you want to first?
Sure. So we've been talking about urbanization like we need technology, but do we need technology for urbanization? Like, is it necessary in order to create cities?
I would, at the point that we're at, I feel like it is, considering how big the cities are and how massive they are and how many people fit into them. Without the technology we have to actually make the cities, it would take, well, even though it probably does take years to make a city, it would take even more. Probably take triple or quadruple the amount to make that one city that can be made in like 5 years.
You don't really need huge cities. Like, we can have a few small, like how it is now. We have a few small ones, some pretty big
Yes, but
ones.
those small ones take years, again, to build. I mean, look at the school we've made. It took how many years to make this?
Like 6 or 7.
Correct. How long do you think it would take just a city to be made?
Well, it would take a while to build, but cities don't stop building. They just continually build on, so it's never actually...
I agree with Emily about how cities, they don't ever stop growing, they continue to grow. Like, I feel like Columbia has grown since we've added Battle, and we've added more of these places growing around Battle and adding these new housings. I feel like a city never stops. And I don't feel like a city has stopped, but I mean, like, I agree, like, and I understand what you're saying about how we continue to build off of something that's already built, and how it just continues to grow.
Oh, sorry. You can.
Cities at one point can stop. Evidence showing that would be like ancient civilizations not being around right now.
I feel like we could maybe build too much sometimes, and like right now, I mean, there are reserved spaces, you know, with nature and wildlife and stuff, but we could also, like, we're using up a ton of our natural resources, and we don't know if we'll allow it or not because of buildings.
I think I should bring up the urbanization primarily benefits people. It doesn't benefit anybody else except for just us.
So do we need to be concerned about urbanization not benefiting things other than us?
We should.
In the way, sorry.
You can go if you want to.
I mean, the ecosystem, everything feeds off of each other, everything balances each other out. And if something happens, it's too great, then it can just destroy everything.
Okay.
I definitely agree with that, because if we run out of one thing, it's not just gonna mess us up, it's also gonna mess up, you know, the animals and stuff.
I would like to say that urbanization is a natural occurrence, but it just happens, and some of it goes too far, like in New York City and Los Angeles, the highest ones in the US. I think that sometimes it does go too far. It leads to pollution, debt, overpopulation, and then we have our slums, which it doesn't help anything. You're either a really good person, like you have everything you need, or you don't. You don't have anything you need. I think urbanization was good to a point, but now we are going over the top with it. Like, we need like the little towns and stuff so we can know people, but we don't need everybody on top of each other. Because then we lose communication, because then you have more jobs, and some people overwork themselves and have more hours, over hours, and then they don't get to communicate with people other than their job.
Yeah.
I agree, like, how you're talking about the slums, that if people are poor, that means like they have to resort to something negative just to strive for the positive. Like, if you think of big cities where the poverty line is like really high, and like people are like just on their last leg to strive to get to the better, that means there's gonna be more crime rates, there's gonna be more people on the streets, and there's gonna be more people losing jobs, just as they keep on, urbanizing stuff. So if you have all these people on the streets, and that means you're not gonna have as successful cities, because there's gonna be too much crime.
So you're saying, but if people are losing their jobs and can't do what they need, wouldn't expanding the city provide more opportunities for them?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Like,
Sorry. But back to kind of what you said about how New York and Los Angeles and stuff, like if you think about it, where would we be if we didn't have those cities? Like, do you feel like we would be better off without them? I personally, I believe that I don't know where we would be if we didn't have the cities that we have. Like I feel like those are like our main cities and like the gateway cities as it states. And I don't feel like we would be as urbanized if we didn't have those cities.
Or do you feel like without urbanization, will we have a bigger portion of the slums because everybody would still be in the same range of having to strive for themselves and trying to get more money to live a successful life?
I don't feel like it would be considered slums. I feel like everybody would be equal, and you won't have to strive for better, or you won't have worse. Everybody will be equal now.
But what Drew was talking about is like, when people are confined to a certain area and it's not urbanized, they're just spread out and there's no structure, there's no community. So no one can really get anywhere, and the slums just keep expanding and expanding while nothing good is happening.
In larger cities equal larger slums, because with more that is in the city, there's more that you can have around the city. Like if the city is bigger, there's more area around it, meaning that there are more people that can not have enough food. On page 3, paragraph 3 of our packet, it talks about planning urbanization, and it doesn't, a lot of places don't have planning, and without the benefits of planning, it can go wrong. But I think in our society now, it does go wrong because slums, we don't mean for slums to happen, but it just naturally happens like urbanization.
So it's sort of like a byproduct.
And like about the jobs things, do you guys think that like people get laid off because of urbanization? Like, is the reason that people are getting laid off is because we're growing or because it deals with urbanization?
I think those are two separate topics that
Yeah,
really, they don't connect to each other. But like I feel like,
Correlation is not causation.
yes,
Like, a growing city is going to provide more opportunities for people, and if they can provide for themselves, that's a factor outside of just the city itself. That's like something the government.
And to connect the two things that you were saying, I think that it can lead to more people getting laid off because then again, there aren't as many farms. So you could have your own farm, sell your own crops, or you can go depend on the city. You can go work for or with the city. And with as many people do work with the city and in those jobs, there are only so many jobs. We do need more people on farms planting crops. That's why crops and animals, the prices go up with our food and everything we need because we have less people providing for the crops, or we have less farms, and then we have more people depending on the city, meaning we have more people in those jobs. And so some of them get laid off, don't get paid, meaning more slums.
I think that if there's like, if people are losing their jobs because of urbanization, like the government and stuff will notice that pattern and they would provide more jobs. They would build more buildings so people can have more jobs and keep the process of life like continuing.
So we've been kind of back and forth on this, but as a whole, do we think that urbanization provides more jobs or less?
More, but then again, some of them are bad jobs. Like, we don't need some of the jobs. Like, I don't have some examples, but we do need people to take a step back and start farming, and we need more people in agriculture so that we can have industrialization, so we can move into the post-industrialization.
In a
But
way,
we're in post-industrial.
Yeah, and even though that's why prices of foods keep going up, because we have less people working and we are depending on more countries importing our crops. And it could help us out with not as many people, not as many jobs, because not as many people need that much money because we're making our own crops and the things we need aren't as expensive.
Prices are actually, I think, more determined by supply and demands than workers.
I kind of agree with how urbanization kind of creates jobs, but then I kind of disagreed because one time, it was in one of my other classes, I watched a video on how, like, it was like at a car making shop and how they have like robots building the cars and doing this, like the robots were doing the stuff that people used to do. So they were replacing the people with robots to do the jobs that people used to do. So in a way they were losing their jobs because they're no longer needed, because it doesn't cost them as much money to have a robot doing something that a person could have done. So I kind of understand it, but then at the same time, there are cases where urbanization has caused